He's got a lot of nicknames, Jeremy does, but we could call him Fast Eddie Felsings. It looks to me like he's going to run the table.
Okay. The 250 side of things, injury plague right now. Kawasaki with only one rider.
Right, and I think that's going to make it even easier for Jeremy to close out the series with Huffman out, Ryan Hughes out. It looks like they're going to both be out perhaps for maybe the rest of the season. Serious injuries there. And also Mike Brown casing it on a triple here tonight, just above the wrist. Looks like he'll be out for about 4 weeks.
As we take a look at the Suzuki 250 point standings, of course, McGrath already clinching the crown. That's with Rhino and Huffman out now. Emig and Lusk have an opportunity to move up at the season's end here with one more race after tonight in Denver. Well, now this is the final 125 East-West matchup, David, and that always creates some excitement.
Well, I'm looking really forward to it, the final one, and right now it's 2-1. Wyndham ahead of Pichon, and unfortunately, I think this is really the battle. You know, the rest of the guys are all putting in good rides this year, but the story is really between Wyndham and Pichon. Pichon trying to even it up. I think it's important for Wyndham to get this third race. As
we take a look at the 125 point standings now, let's go to the East first, where Pichon has already got the title at Charlotte last week. The battle is left for third with Ramsey and Sheik. Then in the 125 West, Wyndham needs only a 5-point difference here tonight for the Western Crown. With 2 races left, Schnell has a chance to catch Dobb in second place. David, do you think it's more important for Wyndham to win this final matchup of the divisions?
Well, I think he would like to try to keep that record above Pichon. Pichon could even it up here tonight, but I think also, you know, not only that for the motivation for Wyndham, but the West Coast has been sort of depleted because of all the talent, the guys getting hurt, and I think it would mean a lot to him to win this one here tonight.
Well, Bobby, good luck in getting a streak of your own going like this.
Well, we need to. Thank you very much.
And it's good to see you here at the stadium.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with 250 qualifying after this. Dome in St. Louis. As we look at the Suzuki track map, David, the track builders look like they just plain gave up. They aren't trying to beat Jeremy McGrath with this one.
Well, I don't care what you build. Jeremy's going to figure it out, but there's a little bit different section after the first turn. They've got a little double jump and then a downhill whoop section into an uphill whoop section into that right-hander before the triple. Long whoop section tonight. That's going to probably be one of the tougher parts because there's ruts all the way through there. Ruts all over this track because the soil's soft.
The Supercross qualifying procedure has the top 4 riders from each of the 2 qualifying heats getting a transfer directly to tonight's main event. The rest of the field goes to the semifinal rounds. The top 5 riders from each of the 2 semis go to the main event, while the rest have one last opportunity to make some money. The top 2 riders out of the last chance qualifier, the final 2 gate positions to be determined for the 20-bike 250 field. Here in the first heat, you see the eyes of determination of Jeff Emig. Emig has been too close not to win this year. And Mike LaRocco, very frustrating season for the outdoor champion, former outdoor champion Mike LaRocco. Brian Swink, Jimmy Button, Greg Albertine, Doug Henry, Buddy Antonez, Todd DeHoop. Some of the names here as the 30-second board is up. Let's go down to Marty.
Guys, we were talking about all day that this was an easy track, but so far through the practice and the preliminaries, it has been a lot of accidents, a lot of contact. The elbows are sharp tonight. It's going to be very physical. Keep an eye on turn 1.
Thanks, Marty Reed, who's our trackside reporter, right down at that starting line as we get set for our first action of the evening.
Well, I'm really impressed by Jeff Emig. He's been aggressive, and that's what it's going to take to win here.
30-second board sideways. That gate will drop at any second. Moving on in front is Jeff Emig, number 2, with Greg Albertine going wide, getting the momentum. And here comes number 23, Brian Swink. Swink in second place. Doug Henry, 15 on the outside now as they take the turn. But it's Emig, our leader here in heat number 1.
Well, he played it smart in the first corner. He tucked it tight, flat-tracked it all the way around there, and Swink just mistimed that little loop section deal and lost a lot of position.
Here comes Doug Henry. He wants to challenge Jeff Emig, going wide to take the double, but Emig still possesses the lead. Swink and Henry really going at it for second place, along with number 16, Greg Albertine.
What Marty's been talking about, the guys crashing. We've been seeing that on the triple tonight. Usually in the first lap, these guys are still bunched up, and they're pretty tough to jump because of the ruts.
Oh, there's some straggling 250 riders that are only doubling that triple over there.
Albertine made a little mistake getting into that section. Looks like it's going to set up the pass. Button able to get around him. I believe he's going to go to the jump. Yeah, he did. He got around right there.
Number 100, Jimmy Button, came back from a season in Europe last year and has really been kind of disappointed that he hasn't had some better finishes. It took him a long time because of the late decisions before the season started to get in tune with that bike.
Emig, though, has been so aggressive at the very beginning of the practice session on Friday and all day today.
Here comes Brian Swink, and Henry almost had the edge to make a move on Emig. Emig in first place with Doug Henry, number 15. Brian Swink, number 23 on the Honda Troy machine.
So it's hard to tell if Henry is really after Emig or if he's just trying to keep Swink off his tail really right now. But both these guys have been riding, showing flashes of lots of speed and just haven't been able to get it all together in the same night for the main event. Maybe tonight's the night. They should look good now.
If our first qualifying round, David Bailey, is any indication, we've got some great racing ahead of us tonight.
There you saw Swink trying something a little different. He's going to try to get underneath.
Little bump.
There's those sharp elbows we were talking about.
The former two-time 125 champion, Brian Swink, out of the East Coast division. Now the 250s battling with Doug Henry. It is Emig, Henry, Swink, Button, and Albertine, with LaRocco behind Albertine.
This is the last lap coming through the whoop section. Yeah, Swink set that up on the coming after the finish line jump. He went wide, squared the corner, got a good run, and Henry, I think, sensed him in there and tried to hold it as tight as he could. If he'd have drifted about another foot wider, he'd have lost that spot.
Emig, number 2, the lone Kawasaki rider performing here tonight. Albertine has gone down. And so right now it's Emig, Henry, Swink, and Button in the top 4 positions, with LaRocco quite a ways back in 5th.
Now I'm anxious to see if, I don't know if Henry's close enough. If he can stay close to Emig, he's a little bit quicker through the whoop section. He comes out of the corner before it, just holds it wide open, it looks like.
Okay, we'll have the conclusion of Heat 1 from St. Louis after these messages. House action from St. Louis as we check out the field summary. Jeff Emig is leading our first qualifying heat. We've got good battles with Doug Henry, number 15, in our camera range right now, and 23 Swink, 100 is Button. Top 4, those riders are in good position to transfer to the main.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to have it. You can see LaRocco way back there behind him, but I'm surprised at how fast these guys are going through the whoops. I was down there closer to the track earlier looking at them, and they're pretty deep and rutted. These guys are just holding it wide open and letting it all hang out. Staying pretty close to the leader right now. I thought Emig would start to pull away a little bit, but you can see right there, all 4 of the top guys are still really close. If there's any mistake by any of them, they're going to get past.
Emig went down one time in practice this morning, but he looks like he's got a little extra inspiration here in his home state.
Yeah, I think so. I just, you know, I keep saying it, but I really saw something different in his riding in practice. And in practice yesterday. Yeah, I think he really wants this. He's only got 2 more tries to try to beat Jeremy this year, and why not do it here in front of his friends? Look how close to the outside they're going through the whoop section, right next to the hay bales. If they get squirrely at all, they're off the track. The reason they're doing it is because they don't have to ride through a rut.
Emig has won 4 heat qualifying races so far this year. And he's on his way to number 5 right now.
As the race continues, you can see the rut starting to get deeper and deeper in these jumps. Coming out of that corner, the berm turns right into a rut. You got to stay in it the whole time. It requires incredible balance.
That might present some interesting situations later in the evening.
You can see coming out of that corner how that rut wasn't even there to start the race, and just after what, it was 5 or 6 laps here, it's gotten deeper and deeper and long.
And you picked the wrong rut going into a triple like these guys are doing right now, and you're in trouble. You
can see Henry square that corner really tight so he could jump the triple all the way on the outside. Look at how fast he gets into that whoop section. That's where he was making up his time.
LaRocco is still 3 seconds in back of Jimmy Button for the final transfer spot, because only the top 4 riders advance to the main event. Yellow flags are out for the rider trying to restart. That's Brian Markovich out of Indiana.
And Swink cases it right there. Oh, it's getting tough. Jimmy Button doing a nosedive right there. Probably got his heart pounding a little bit. He lost some time. So now Henry doesn't have Swink breathing down his neck. Maybe he can afford to get more creative in trying to find a way around Emig in this final lap.
White flag is flying for the riders now in our first qualifying match. And this gentleman has got the lead of about 3 bike lengths on Doug Henry.
It's not over, though. You can see how quick these guys make mistakes. Albertine went down. These guys are still using that line way to the right on the whoop section, trying to stay out of those ruts. It's too hard to go through a rut and over all those bumps.
Well, Henry has done nothing but improve in the last few races. He went from 19th to 13th, and here he's trying to challenge Emig. He had a 7th and then a 5th place finish in the last race at Charlotte. Henry and Emig going at it now. One more turn. Emig slips by the block pass. Nice acceleration with the Kawasaki.
Yeah, Henry did the right thing. It's a good idea, just didn't quite have enough.
Checker flag for Jeff Emig, and a good way to start the evening with the Kawasaki's lone rider. We mentioned earlier briefly that Huffman was injured and Ryan Hughes was injured, and we'll amplify on those injuries when we have further time. Marty Reed is making his way to the winner's podium, and we'll be hearing from him after these words. St. Louis has been completed, and this is the action right here as Henry on the last turn couldn't quite pick him off, David Bailey.
No, he had a good idea. He just wanted to get in there. He only had a couple of turns to go, and he wanted Emig to know he's there. Emig will remember that in the main event if Henry's behind him.
Emig, Henry, Swankin, Button going to the main event now. Marty's with Jeff Emig.
Well, it was a great duel. I got to ask you, what was your perspective of what happened out there? Henry gave you all you could handle.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys are going to be real quick tonight. You know, at least up until the track, you know, gets a little bit rutted. You know, I was just trying to ride a good smooth race. You know, I got out front and everything, and you know, the KX250 Kawasaki that they built me, you know, like things get me out front, you know, off the starts, and it's working great on the track. So, I mean, you know, I feel real good for the main tonight.
56 seconds we had you on your best lap. Is that going to be enough?
I think so, but you have to do them every lap. My mechanic was giving me my times out there while I was leading, and most time it was a 57, yeah, but I did get a 56 there the one lap, and I mean, you know, I feel real good, you know, so we'll see. You know, we'll see how this main event comes out.
Jeff, you ever been stuck in an elevator?
No, but I hear David Bailey has.
Is that true, Art?
That is true, Marty Reed. We almost didn't have any analysis in the booth.
You know what I heard? I heard the elevator was so small, and he was stuck in there with Linda Vaughn. He didn't know which way to turn.
Oh, yes, I did.
An hour and 11 minutes, and you were the only one in the elevator, right?
I was the only one
worse.
there. You know, I could hear some stuff going on outside, and I didn't know if anyone could hear me. It's funny what comes out of you when you're in there. I was getting pretty irritated after about a half hour.
Okay, as we line up for heat number 2, you see the champion Jeremy McGrath with Skip Norfolk. His mechanic surprisingly quiet now.
First turn soft, so you can drive it in hard. You're going to get plenty of traction. You can do what you want in the first turn. If you don't have to drive it in, brake tight, come out around, or you can drive it in if someone's on your outside. You can do whatever you want. You're going to get plenty of traction going in there.
I'll get past on the inside if I push someone far enough to the outside.
There you see the strategy as we mic Skip Norfolk. It's Jeremy McGrath, Ezra Lusk, Damon Bradshaw, Phil Lawrence, Larry Ward, Michael Craig, Kyle Lewis, Denny Stevenson, Richard Taylor, Cliff Palmer, just to go down half of the list trying to qualify.
That's kind of interesting. The way they talk, it's like, okay, you're going to get the whole shot, so do you want to go tight or wide? You know, they're not saying, okay, if you get a bad start, here's what you should do. No, it's just, you're going to probably have the start. It's up to you. That's a good strategy. Guess when you won that many times and you've got that kind of a record getting off the gate, that's the way you start to think after a while.
The riders waiting for the 32nd board to go up. Skip more yapping with his rider, Jeremy McGrath, who's already wrapped up his 4th consecutive title, going for win number 14. Let's go down to Marty Reed. Marty?
Well, guys, we've been keeping our eye on Ezra Lusk the last few races. Ed Longacre said, hey, look, we just want you to get some podiums. In the last 6 races, he's had a 2nd, a 3rd, and 3/4. And Ed Longacre told us tonight, I'm turning my boy loose. It's all up to him now. I want to see if he can take this race.
Yeah, they put kind of a verbal muzzle on number 34, Ezra Lusk, saying just finish the race. Stay on 2 wheels. See how you can do. And his improvement has been marked.
No, it's worked. They need to do that to Albertine now. Bring him up that way because he's gone down. He's having the kind of year that Lusk had last year.
Okay, we're almost set for the start of the qualifying heat number 2 from St. Louis in this beautiful facility. Michael Craig, a good start. Number 17 as Jeremy McGrath cuts inside and blocks him out. No, he gets by. 17 is Michael Craig. 13 is Phil Lawrence. There you see
Stevenson and Taylor getting hooked up in the first corner. Already out front, McGrath with a shot at the lead.
Oh, he's got some tight. He gets crunched in there with a sandwich between Phil Lawrence and Michael Craig. Coming up behind is Larry Ward.
We're going to see a lot of physical riding tonight. You see McGrath wasn't able to do the double coming out of that corner. I'm anxious to see how he keeps his cool right here. He's going to have to keep his head because everyone's going to take it to him.
Right now, Phil Lawrence, the top privateer in the top 10. Number 13 out in front.
Pretty smart by Lawrence, too, right there through that straightaway. He just kind of moved his way over to the left to protect that inside, giving Craig nowhere to go.
Michael Craig has been fast in the preliminaries. As we take a look at Jeremy McGrath pulling up on number 17, Craig. McGrath currently in third in this qualifying heat with Kyle Lewis behind him and Larry Ward and Ezra Lusk in that order.
Well, Craig was, he's had some injuries this year, and it was hard for him to come back and be strong for the whole main event. In a heat race, he's tough. He beat Jeremy in a heat race in Pontiac, Michigan.
Lawrence coming through the whoops with good speed. Craig and then McGrath. Lewis is 11. Ward is 6. Lusk is 34. Only 4 will make it to the main event out of this race.
Now you can see McGrath. He's close enough to start applying the pressure to these guys. And watch the lines he chooses. He'll stay on the inside. He's already positioned himself at the inside of Craig there. If he's a little closer, he can make that pass.
1, 2, and 3 in our picture. Lawrence, Craig, and McGrath.
These guys really starting to pull away from that battle for fourth now.
Yeah, the bubble is between Kyle Lewis, Ward, and Lusk, with Damon Bradshaw straggling behind them.
Lawrence holding his own here, too. He looks pretty fast. Craig's not making up that much time anywhere on the racetrack, but now he's really going to feel it from Jeremy. He looks over at him on the triple.
Lawrence opened the season in Orlando with a second-place finish. Here comes Jeremy. Battling into the second position now in front of Michael Craig. And Larry Ward has moved into fourth.
That was pretty slick by Jeremy. Went off the triple, pulled the tear away, and kind of regrouped. He knew that Craig was going to slow down and try to block him in the corner. He cut to the inside, called him perfect on it.
Be interesting to see where Jeremy picks to take Lawrence if he gets the chance. Oh, he bounced
Jeremy,
it there.
Yeah, lucky to keep it upright. He jumped right into the face of that jump, and it just shows you the incredible balance this guy has. I think Lawrence will hold him off a little bit. These guys ride together sometimes during the week, and I'll bet it probably feels like that for Lawrence right now. He's like, if he can just anchor himself there and go, okay, this is just like the time we were riding together last Wednesday. It'll help him relax and maybe take Jeremy a little longer to get around.
57.9 lap, a little slower than the Emmings lap.
Yeah, quite a bit. Emming had a clear track, and like I said, he's really impressed me. He seemed to have stepped it up a notch here this weekend. And McGrath he's close to Phil, but we're not seeing that same thing we usually see from Jeremy. I think we're just looking at a lot of patience right now. Lots of time.
Stay cool. Jeremy McGrath on the triple. Picks it up within a bike length now of Phil Lawrence as they go through that timing section on the end of the track. Lawrence looking over his shoulder back at Jeremy. Jeremy tries the block pass but didn't quite have enough room.
And you know what's amazing is when Jeremy goes in and tries something like that, Lawrence held his line perfect, did everything right, but Jeremy didn't lose any time. You know, he couldn't jump that first double jump, but he still jumped the other way that they do it because it's kind of a rhythm section. If you don't do the first one, you can do the second one. Lost no time at all. Our
leader is still Phil Lawrence with McGrath and Michael Craig, 1, 2, and 3. Will Florence take the checkers? Well, that answer comes up in a moment. Sarah Duckman, David Bailey, and Marty Reed as we watch a tremendous battle here in the second qualifying heat between Jeremy McGrath and Phil Lawrence. Jeremy McGrath tried to get him on a block pass, but he snuck through. And here comes Michael Craig behind him, and Larry Ward moves into third place.
Now, a good ride for Ward. He came out of nowhere, caught these guys from quite a ways back. Now he's getting pinched out by his teammate Craig, but, you know, Lawrence is riding fantastic. I mean, I know Jeremy, he may have a little bit more under the hood, but still, he's usually able to work his way to the front. He doesn't like finishing second. I know he wants to get around, but he can't right now.
Well, you know, we take a look at the great record of Jeremy McGrath. #1 as he sails toward Phil Lawrence, but there's a lot of work goes behind all of this, right, Marty Reed?
I'll tell you what, guys, one of the things I'm interested in is finding out if the chassis that they put underneath him is having any effect. Earlier this week, Skip Norfolk, Jeremy McGrath's mechanic, said, I was going over the bike and all of a sudden I realized the chassis was worn out. Believe it or not, after 5 races and a few test sessions. Too many hard jumps, they said. So he rebuilt the entire chassis. That is a new bike from the ground up, basically, that they're talking about. And David, maybe you have some insight on this after being on top of one of these things so many years. If that would be the reason, because the lap times are comparable to what Jeff Emig. The fastest has been a 56.9. The other 2 laps have been in the mid-57s.
Well, I don't know. I doubt if they change the geometry of the frame. I don't think they're allowed to by the rules, but the bike is different, and sometimes it takes you a little while on a new bike to get the feel of things. Even sometimes you go out there and your handlebars are just a tiny bit too low and it messes up your rhythm, but I'm sure Jeremy will get it worked out. I've seen him do worse in the heat race before and come back and smoke everyone in the main. I'm sure that's what he's thinking of priority-wise, but right now he's getting pressure from Larry Ward. You can see the concern on Skip's face.
He really is. Larry Ward is right on his back tire. White flag, 1 more lap to go is all, and Phil Lawrence has run a marvelous race. Out in front, McGrath is getting pressure now in 2nd place from Ward. Ward couldn't quite cut him off. Ward goes down. He goes down hard.
So Ward just tried to come out of that inside of that corner. There's a rut there. He was leaning too much to the inside, and it's washed out. He's going to have to go to the semi.
And Jeremy McGrath catch up with number 13 in time as this final lap is running out.
Whoa, Jeremy getting his feet way up off the pegs. You see him do that a lot. But what saves him is he grips the bike with his knees. So when he comes back down, he lands right back on the foot peg.
Lawrence out in front of Jeremy McGrath, but Jeremy McGrath is in good position. Ezra Lusk was a big benefactor of the Larry Ward going down. He's in the 4th. Here comes Jeremy now, making his move on Lawrence.
Oh, I don't believe it.
The entire race, Phil was able to hold him off. The checkers to Jeremy. And it's Lawrence, Craig, and Ezra Lusk on their way to the main event. Oh, what great racing here early, and we'll hear from our winner, Jeremy McGrath, in a moment. Now history here in St. Louis.
This was the last pass. Jeremy just outsmarting Phil Lawrence right there. Lawrence bobbled a little bit going into the corner, set that all up, bobbled again, and McGrath was by.
You think it was pressure that McGrath was behind him?
It had to be. I think if for Lawrence, if that wasn't Jeremy behind him, he probably wouldn't have felt that pressure. Jeremy just puts that on everybody and forces them to ride so good, and they make mistakes, and he's there to pass.
Our champions with Marty Reed. You can ask him about that chassis now, Marty.
I definitely want to. I got to ask you, you made this a little closer than most people probably thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it was kind of like a slam fest in the beginning there, you know. I mean, I got to be the most fortunate guy winning every race, but that heat race was close. Phil was riding a great race.
We know about the new chassis build-up earlier this week. Was this chassis, or are you starting to feel a little pressure about the winning streak going for 14?
No, I just got a little nervous out there. You know, it wasn't nothing. Factory Phil was riding a really good race, and Mike Craig was on my tail, so it's not like I couldn't ride where I wanted to ride. So I think I just need a little bit better start in the main event.
Well, we'll see you when you get to the main. Good luck.
Thanks.
Hey, guys, by the way, an update on the elevator episode. He wasn't alone, Art. I found out that there was a woman operator. They've taken her to the hospital. They got to repair her ear. They got to put it back on because they say he talked it off.
That's great.
It's true, ladies and gentlemen. He did get caught in the elevator. We didn't think he was going to make it for the opening of the show. You just barely made it in time. They got him out of the elevator after an hour and 11 minutes, and his hands were shaking. What's it like in that elevator, partner?
It's no fun because you don't know if you're on the first floor or if you're on the floor.
Some of the night's most exciting racing yet to come. The always competitive semifinals when we return.
Honda flashback. We're going way back, 1993. At the drop of the gate for the main event, who gets the whole shot? Who else? Jeremy McGrath, number 15. That's number 1 Stanton, the defending champion, behind him. Would be left to battle for 2nd place with Mike Kudrowski, who had a hot line coming out of the whoops. That sets up the pass inside and into 2nd place for Kudrowski. Watch his timing right here. Once, twice, he touches through the whoops. Great timing. Not so good for the champion. More concerned about losing the title to this kid than losing 2nd place in the race to Kudrowski. So for McGrath in his rookie season, his first Supercross title, gets a hug from his dad. And who'd have thought 3 years later he'd be picking up his 4th consecutive Supercross title. And to give you an idea of how dominant he has been, he has not lost the points lead since March of 1993.
And the veterans around the game said, no rookie will win the 250 title. You cannot dominate guys like Stanton, Kudrowski, and LaRocco. LaRocco is in this semifinal.
Well, McGrath is, I don't think anyone would have expected, probably not even himself, to win in that first year. And beyond that, with the streak that he's got going this year, he's a phenomenon. And I just don't know if we're ever going to see this again. We're probably looking at the best rider of all time.
Two veteran riders here in the semifinal round, not getting to the main event out of the qualifying round. LaRocco and Albertine, both on the Suzukis. As we see Buddy Antunez, number 22, along with Albie, number 16. And we're set to go. And so they're off, and there is a mad dash. Albertine in good position. LaRocco, an unusually good start. Number 8, Mike LaRocco, the leader.
A big pile up behind. It looks like that was Greg Albertine caught up in that.
Albertine it is, and he's got a bike on top of him.
This guy's face planted right into the face of this jump. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to get up and make it. Last chance at best for both of those guys. But LaRocco with a, I can't remember the last time he got a hole shot. Art, how about you?
It's been a long time. In fact, I can't remember one. But I'm sure he's encouraged right now, as he's had just a real concerned season.
Well, he didn't start things off healthy. He wasn't 100% coming into the first race. That's never a good way to start the season, but he was in 5th. Then he followed that up with a podium finish, and then a 4th place in Anaheim. It looked like things were going good. Then the DNF in Seattle. And from that point on, it's been pretty inconsistent. He's been fast here and there, but I think he's been making too many changes to the motorcycle to ever get comfortable.
Well, they got a 3rd place in Atlanta and then a 3rd place at Tampa. And in Tampa, really, they stopped messing with the bike, really. And said, let's just run with what we got.
Yeah, I remember when I first started, and I'm sure this isn't the case with Mike. I mean, I know he has a lot of experience, but when I first started riding the factory bikes, I didn't have one to practice on, and it felt so different from my practice bike, which was actually slower and didn't handle as good, but I was still faster on my practice bike because I was more comfortable with it, knew what to expect.
Well, LaRocco is way out in front. And it's Josh Steele getting the challenge for 2nd place from Buddy Antunez, number 22. Antunez cutting inside of Steele. He's moved into 2nd. Now, don't forget the top 5 from each semifinal will make it to the main event. But LaRocco, way out in front, will get a better gate pick.
It'd probably be just nice for him to, I can't think of him winning any races this year. Can you? He hasn't won any heat races that I can think of, and he hasn't been in that many semis.
He won the heat race in Atlanta, in which he battled a bad start there to take one of his 3rd place finishes. And that was his best Supercross day of the season.
Well, that's kind of a bummer when you got to go back and look at one race of the season that actually went kind of good for you. I know he didn't win the main event or do that well there, but anytime you can win a race, it just feels good. Doesn't matter if it's a last chance qualifier. You just kind of get that feeling again and what it's like to be the first guy to get that checkered flag. Hopefully he can anchor that feeling and do the same thing again in the main event.
On a season like this year, too, David, it's got to really affect a guy like LaRocco, who takes everything inside. And he's such an emotional person, but he very seldom ever shows it.
Right. Well, you know, I think a lot of people don't see the real Mike LaRocco. And even for myself, I haven't had a tough time kind of getting to know him. And I think he's just a lot more shy than people think. He's got a, you know, some people may think it's kind of a boring personality. Well, he's not boring. He's just kind of shy.
These 5, David, are in line to make it to the main event. Out of our first semifinal round, we'll have the run to the checkers continuing from St. Louis in a moment. Great, but he doesn't have that huge lead as we come back to this qualifying round, the first semifinal. Buddy Antunez of Great Western is giving a pretty good push to catch up with LaRocco.
Well, I think, you know, for Mike, it's a bummer to not really be able to get out there and establish his rhythm, and already he's got to be thinking about Antunez, who's riding pretty good right now and staying close. And this is, you know, not to put Buddy down. I just don't think Buddy would stay this close to Jeremy or Emig. And what we're seeing right here is perhaps an indication that LaRocco will be nowhere near the pace in the main event for the lead.
White flag lap. Joshua Steele's in 3rd place behind these two out front.
Maybe LaRocco's saving a little bit for the main event, trying to learn the track a little and just get comfortable. After all, he is here in the semi, so things didn't go so good in the heat race. And Antonez is really riding pretty good right now, because I don't see LaRocco making that many mistakes. He's jumping everything.
Buddy Antonez tries, but Mike LaRocco prevails on this final lap. LaRocco winning in Atlanta and Pontiac last year. He had 3 wins the year before, ending up second in points behind Jeremy McGrath.
Well, it's good to see him hold on to that line. Antonez had a good run on him coming up the inside. And you can see how tough those ruts are getting. If you're not able to do that double jump, you're going to get past. You saw what happened to Lawrence.
Nice move at that final turn, yes. And Mike LaRocco wins our first semifinal round, and got to make this young man feel good. To the 4th floor. You hit the record books again, David.
Yeah, there's no elevator music in there for me either. So.
And that's one that I don't think Jeremy McGrath's going to challenge.
Now, if he wanted to, he could probably beat it, though. I was thinking about that. You know, what if that had been Jeremy in there?
Yeah.
That's got to be pretty frightening. You never know what's going to happen.
Did you feel like you might drop?
Well, the thing with an elevator is you don't know where you are. You don't know if you're on the 10th floor, the 1st floor, or if it's going to take 10 seconds or 10 hours to get out of there.
One rider who's not competing here tonight because in practice he broke his arm is Mike Brown, and Marty Reed's with him.
Yeah, I'm trying to stay away from this right arm. It's in the sling, and the fracture is right here in the forearm. First off, how are you feeling?
Good. It's not hurting at all. I hadn't had no pain medicine, and it hurt for probably 30 minutes after I did it. Now I can't even feel it at all. It's all right.
Why is everybody going down tonight? We're seeing so many accidents out there.
Yeah, the triple jumps are pretty straight up. The track's getting ruddy. I mean, it's getting softer as the night goes on.
Well, we'll see you in a couple of weeks on the outdoor season.
Yeah, I'd say not this weekend. Maybe in Glen Helen I'll be there, hopefully.
Guys, we're ready to go with semi number 2.
Larry Ward, as you see there, number 6, putting the goggles on. And he's right next to Richard Taylor out of Ketchum, Idaho, number 48. We've also got Damon Bradshaw, Kyle Lewis, Cliff Palmer, Gene Newmack, Denny Stevenson. Some veterans here in the second semifinal round.
Well, Bradshaw's been to quite a few of these this year. You can see the look on his face, the look on his mechanic's face. Neither one of those guys look very happy about this. And no matter how you come out of the semi, you still got to go to the gate and take what's left in terms of a place to start. That's never a very good advantage.
Yeah, this is his 7th semi on the season.
Yeah, that's too many. Out of 13 races, 7 times the semis.
And one having to go to the LCQ. He won it. But, of course, had a very bad gate position on a track at Anaheim. You didn't want a bad gate position in.
No, it's a real key to get off the gate quick. Bradshaw needs to work on those first few laps of his race.
Okay, we're just about set for our second final getaway, and we're off. Number 11 is Kyle Lewis on the inside. And out in front, Richard Taylor, number 48, comes out of the first turn with Larry Ward on his tail. Taylor, 48, spotted for us during one telecast. But now he's on the track, hoping to make it to the main. He's got the challenge right now with Larry Ward. Ward to the inside, out of the whoops. He's got the advantage to take the lead. Remember Richard Taylor, he had the bike cam on last year sometime.
He even gave it the drop test in Houston. Now, I wish we still had that angle so you could see what it looked like over these triples, and to see what these ruts are like from the rider's point of view. It's getting deeper and deeper. That's why these guys are going down on the triples.
Battle for third, Denny Stevenson with Kyle Lewis. Stevenson making the move on Taylor into second place as we check out Larry Ward coming at the finish of lap number 1 here in the semifinal round number 2.
Taylor almost getting back around Stevenson. He left the door a little bit open. Now you can see how close of a battle it is. Bradshaw's sneaking into it. These guys are way behind Larry Ward, though.
Larry Ward over the triple. Well, these guys are taking the turn to go for it. Stevenson, Lewis, Taylor, Bradshaw, and Cliff Palmer on the bubble.
You see Ward there has almost that whole whoop section of a lead. He looked really good in the heat race, and he just went down, and that's why he's in this semi. But the fact that he's in the semi doesn't reflect how fast he went in that heat race. He came from behind, caught Craig, and unfortunately went down in one of those ruts.
Denny Stevenson coming off a last place finish last week in Charlotte. Would certainly like to get a better main event under his belt before the end of the season. Here comes Bradshaw. Bradshaw, number 28, smoothly moves into second place. Quite a ways away from Larry Ward out in front.
Be anxious to see now if Damon can catch Larry Ward. If he can do that, that'd be a really good sign coming into the main event. It boosts the confidence for him.
The finish of our second semifinal round when we come back to St. Louis. Larry Ward, our leader. Number 2 from St. Louis, Missouri. Larry Ward, Damon Bradshaw, Kyle Lewis, Denny Stevenson. And the battle is really for 3rd, 4th, and 5th, as Stevenson, number 24, is in 3rd.
And that final transfer spot battle right there between Palmer and Taylor. Palmer's got the inside. Taylor hanging on to it, though.
Cliff Palmer, number 27, and Taylor, number 48. Palmer gets the edge out of that turn. Larry Ward, number 6, has run a magnificent race here in the semifinal round. He is just way out in front, as Bradshaw's been unable to really pick up a lot of room on him.
You can see as Larry Ward went over the triple right there, Bradshaw went by on the other straightaway. He's made up a little bit of time, but not really enough to concern Larry Ward. I think he's just getting his rhythm, finding some lines perhaps on the track that he might like to use in the main event, getting warmed up. Not wanting to overdo it. You still want to have some energy, but this heat, I mean, the semi doesn't take enough out of you for the main event.
The story is well known by now, of course. Larry Ward placing higher than any non-factory rider ever in the history of Supercross last year, with a second-place finish in points behind Jeremy McGrath. But he got off to a slow start this season because of the injured thumb that he injured in Europe before the season came out. He's on the final lap right now, Larry Ward. So he started with a 15th in Orlando and did not run because of that broken thumb in the next 2 races. And then it took him 4 or 5 races before he really got his timing down for a 3rd-place finish in Dallas, ending up last week at Charlotte with a 2nd-place podium finish.
I talked to him after practice today, and he said, you know, he's felt really good ever since Dallas. He had a good run there, and he's been in position to have a couple more podiums since then, but a couple of falls that put him back in the pack. But he has been riding good lately.
Damon Bradshaw in 2nd place behind number 6, Larry Ward, the Honda of Troy rider. Looks like he's on his way to the main event.
That's a key corner that he just went around right there before the finish. If he can get to that corner clean and over that double, save a lot of time.
Larry Ward wins our 2nd semifinal round. It'll be Damon Bradshaw uncontested for 2nd. We'll get the official lineup of the rest of the finishers when we come back and a talk with Larry Ward after these messages. Marty Reed, here's a replay after the checkered flag. You can't let up, Larry Ward.
Well, you know, he just your concentration isn't completely there, and he jumped a little double there looking for a place to do it without some ruts.
Well, he lucked out more than Ryan Hughes after the checkered flag in the qualifying heat, and that was a big injury for Ryan. Broken jaw. Larry Ward, Bradshaw, Lewis, Stevenson, Palmer going to the main event. Let's go down to Marty.
Yeah, you mentioned the crash last week by Ryan Hughes. I guess first thing I should ask is, are you okay?
Yeah, I think I'm all right. I hit my head, the side of my head in that heat race. And my vision's a little blurred, but I felt real good. I thought everything was okay after the end of that semi, and then, I don't know, I just made a stupid mistake. I was checking out a new line for the main event because it's getting ready there, and I tried something a little different. I crashed again, so I'm going to have to watch out for that corner in the main event, I guess.
Yeah, I think the game plan will change. What will it take to win tonight, May? What do you expect this track to be like by then?
The first, 6, 7 laps, the track's real good, and then it gets deep ruts and all the good lines. So you're just going to have to be smart, get a good start, and by being smart, you're going to have to change lines. When it gets a deep rut, you're going to have to just change your line and find another good line that's just as fast.
Well, remember, guys, this is the man who finished 2nd last week. Oh, by the way, the final definitive answer on the elevator saga, Art. David likes the music.
He said there was no music. That was the problem.
Yeah, right.
Okay, it's time now for our weekly Suzuki riding tip.
As a factory rider, people often come up to me and ask me how I jump doubles or triples so easily. Jumping is actually not that hard, as long as you set it up properly. Once you have a pretty good feel for the jump, you can set up properly. For maximum altitude, professionals like my teammates on Team Suzuki have perfected the art of pre-jumping. Just as they reach the base of the jump, they press their full weight down on the foot pegs to compress the forks, which then rebound to provide maximum lift. Of course, sometimes you need to stay low and go a long way. In that case, I like to keep my weight well back and keep as much weight off the forks as possible. Remember, it takes time and a lot of practice to master the art of jumping. So take it slow, learn the basics, and before you know it, you'll be jumping like a pro. I'm Greg Alwatane for Team Suzuki.
Qualifier, the final two riders to earn their way to the 250 main. Now, Supercross has never been without its wave of young talent ready to unseat even the best of champions. Before the 125 East-West main event, let's look down the road at a couple of the most promising young talents. There is no question we are seeing the greatest Supercross rider of all time on one of professional sports' most incredible streaks. McGrath's contemporaries currently enter races with little more than a hope and a prayer. But it is the young phenoms of Supercross who have time on their side and bring with them blind enthusiasm and new energy to the sport. 18-year-old Kevin Windham has been heel-clicking his way through the 125 West.
I first saw Mike Mesker do it, and I just wanted to do it, for every race that I won. The crowd seems to really enjoy it, but just trying it, trial and error, really. I have had a few scary moments. I've had a hand slip off while I had my feet over the bars and everything else. I've even hung a boot on the bar, but luckily every time I rode it out.
You look good. You're staying low over the triples, real low. And when you come back this way, that's fast. How you trip. You jump up, you jump off. That's good.
In the East, Mikel Pichon has nailed down his second consecutive 125 title, but not before the most dangerous get-off of the 96 season.
Mikel Pichon, while we were away, got mixed up with a lapper. He is down.
That just shows anything can happen. I saw that lapped rider laying over there. They were unable to get him off the track.
Pichon responded with a sense of urgency after Atlanta, winning 5 of the next 7 races. But his whole time frame is different than Windham's. Every day it gets more difficult away from his homeland.
Because you don't know what it is to live out of the country. If I stay 2 or 3 more years, that's going to be the more I'm going to stay here. I want to make like, Jean-Michel Bay did, but in the opposite way. He won in Europe first, and he came and he won here. And me, I want to win here and go back in Europe and win in Europe.
McGrath has such an edge over everybody right now that it's impossible to have enough experience and enough time on the 250. So mainly everything I'm doing right now is just trying to contribute everything over to the 250s and be ready here in 2 years.
Jeremy McGrath looks back at the young Lions with respect. It wasn't that long ago he was looking up at the Jean-Michel Bales and Jeff Stantons while winning back-to-back 125 West titles. When asked what advice he'd give Pichon and Windham upon graduation to the 250s, he jokingly said,
I'd say, you think I'm really going to tell you? I got to race you guys.
The typical humor of Jeremy McGrath with a tint of confidence behind it.
Well, I think he recognizes the talent of Pichon and especially Windham. And why tell him anything? He knows they've got enough under their sleeve. He doesn't need to give them anything else.
We're taking a look at the Suzuki starting grid for the 125 main event. This is the final East-West matchup of the year, and an unusually high number of matchups for this season. Kevin Windham, as we said earlier in the show, taking the first 2, really dominating. And this young man, number 1, Mikel Pichon, came back to uphold the honor of the East with a win in the 3rd. John Dowd had to go to the LCQ, but he made the field.
Well,
32nd board is up, David.
Yeah, but he's on the far, he's 3 spots from the very outside. He's got Gonzalez to the outside of him, so it's going to take a miracle for him to get a hole shot from there. He's got to get to the first turn clean and work his way through the pack. He's done it before.
And a great fan base here in St. Louis to watch the very first Supercross in St. Louis. I understand they had a national here several years ago, David.
Oh, 1983, I believe it was, and somewhere near here anyways, and Hannah won that.
Okay, the 32nd board is down, and they're going in anytime they're gone. On the inside, it's Ramsey, number 47, but let's see who takes the first corner. Pichon on the inside, and Pichon goes down. Mikel Pichon is down.
Well, he took down, looks like Rusty Holland. No, it's Rusty Holland, number 71, John Dowd, and Grayson Goodman. Casey Johnson went down to the first corner. You see, he just went by.
There's number 1 trying to restart his machine. And he basically said, I want to stay out of trouble because I want to be ready for the national outdoors. Here's Kevin Windham moving into first place.
Well, after that match and coming out of the first corner, Michael Brandis picked up the lead on the Chaparral Yamaha. Now he's battling with his teammate Deegan, but Windham's way out in front already, and I thought his toughest competitor would probably be Pichon, and Pichon's in last.
So Out in front, Kevin Windham, number 38. Looking to wrap up this East-West series as Deegan is in second, and there is a crop of riders gunning for third. James Dobb is working against Corey Keeney there for third place. And in Brandis, number 59.
Well, Brandis, who had the lead there briefly, made a mistake somewhere I didn't notice, and he's lost a lot of positions now. See all the airtime they're getting off that triple, and there you can see the lead that Windham has over Deegan. Keeney, then James Dobb, and you see Brandis now starting to work his way back in there, but he kind of gave up a really good opportunity having that lead like that.
Pichon is in 21st. Here's Corey Keeney, number 39.
He gets over the triple, as does Dobb, no problem. That's going to get tougher as the race continues. 15-lap main event here, and those ruts are going to get deep.
You know, I didn't expect Dobb to do that well in this race because he has not, after 2 weeks off, has not had that race competition as we see Deegan go over that finish line jump.
Right, and it's starting to show just a little bit. Nathan Ramsey got by him in that tough little double jump section. Just picked a better line. See if Dobb can hang in there with him. Looks like he's losing time, though, right now.
Right now, Windham could win the crown if it stays like this. In the 125 West, Corey Keeney on the right, Ramsey on the left. Ramsey has had very fine racing lately.
Well, that was really close. We saw that happen in one of the heat races. The guy kind of crossing it up in the air, got into Grayson Goodman, and they all went down. But Ramsey's got the spot for now, but he couldn't get over that double jump.
Corey Keeney in front of Nate Ramsey.
Looks like of these three riders right here, Ramsey's the quickest.
Well, Ramsey's first podium finish was at Pontiac. He came right back with a fourth at Charlotte, a third in points in the 125 Eastern Division. And he cuts to the inside, and it's Ramsey getting by Keeney. Back and forth we go in the battle.
That's a really good section for Ramsey. He keeps getting out of that corner over that first double. I mentioned it earlier in the show. If you can get it through that corner clean, clear that first double, you make up a ton of time. That's what Windham's doing right now. He's pulling away.
Windham has a 5-second lead on Brian Deegan, number 25. And then we go to Ramsey, who is 4 seconds behind second place. Let's take another look. Here's Keeney to the outside.
Yeah, Ramsey, he's just not, he doesn't have to choose a rut. See, Keeney didn't really know what to do. He was so close to the edge of the racetrack between there and the rut. He couldn't get over that first double jump. Keeney's been losing time there. Ramsey squaring that corner, doing what McGrath did in his heat race. Made the pass.
A walk in the park here for Kevin Windham.
That's that same section from another angle. He's coming out, getting over that first double, over the next one. You see he gets around that corner, doesn't even put his foot out. Stands up.
LaRusso, number 42, going down as Casey Johnson, 58, blows by him in the whoops.
And LaRusso's handlebars, or the left side of his handlebars, is bent way down, and so is the clutch lever. So the rest of the race for him is just going to be survival.
Here's the battle for third and fourth with Dobb making a move on Ramsey, number 47. James Dobb from England. Second in points behind Windham.
Yeah, he gets in there and bumps him a little bit. He knows that he's got to get up and finish second at least to try to hang on any mathematical shot at the title, although it does look like it's going to go to Windham anyway.
Deegan, number 25, Ramsey 47, and Dobb in the whoops.
Looked like Dobb was just had a tough time those first couple laps getting going, but he settled into his pace. Ramsey, who looked like the faster of the two, really isn't pulling away now. Dobb's staying close.
Dobb needs a good showing, David Bailey, because he was on a race-to-race contract with Suzuki until Craig Decker could get back. Decker never really got the doctor's go-ahead with a broken back, and he is without now a factory ride as we look at Ramsey.
And he just made up some more time on Dobb there, so he is starting to open it up. That one section has been a key section all night. It's right where Pichon is now. He wasn't able to get over that double jump because he's in traffic. He's battling with Ashkenazi right there. It looks like he's going to get by. No, not quite.
So Pichon from France, Ashkenazi, he's from Australia, the former Australian champion. And look at John Dowd. Last chance qualifier to get into the thing, and he's right behind Pichon.
Well, Dowd,
that'd be a moral victory for Dowd if he could get by Pichon.
Yeah, it looked like he was going to be able to get to that first corner pretty clean, but all that crash just happened right in front of him, and when you have to start on the outside like that, if anybody falls in front of you, you're in the middle of it. took him out of the race. He's going to get by
John
Pashon.
Dowd. John Dowd gets by Pashon. Dowd, his Achilles heel was a failure to qualify for the Indianapolis race. Coming out of the LCQ, he was 5th. Kevin Windham, our leader.
No trouble for him, clearing everything easy, keeping up good momentum through the corners. Look how fast he gets into the whoop section. He's actually one of the only 125 guys that builds speed through there. Everybody just comes in, tries to get a good run. We'll see what Brian Deegan does.
Brian Deegan's going to have his hands full with Ramsey, the way Ramsey's coming through the whoops right behind number 25. And we'll see who will end up the top 5 at the end of the race when we come back.
See bike. Want bike. Buy bike. Get free helmet. Right now, during Suzuki Fest Summer, when you buy a sleek, responsive Katana 600 or 750, you get a hot Katana helmet totally free. Wow! You can also get some incredible deals, like 0 down, low monthly payments, or low APR financing. So come on into your participating Suzuki dealer. Get a hot new Katana, a great deal, and a free helmet to hide that silly grin.
Why should I be on the internet?
How do I get on the internet?
With the Internet A to Z Starter Kit, it includes everything you need. Netscape Navigator software, a $50 value, free. And a personal email account, free. Plus 336 hours internet use free. That's a lot more than popular online services offer. And Internet A to Z can cut your online service bills and save you up to 99%. You also receive this exclusive 60-minute video, which makes setting up and using the internet quick and easy. Plus, if you call in the next 5 minutes, we'll include this bonus internet surfer's guide. That's Netscape Navigator software, email, 336 hours internet access, savings up to 99%, the video and the guide, all for only $19.95. We guarantee you can't find an easier, more complete internet package at any price or your money back. Don't get left out. Order now.
Call 1-800-820-7557 now to order the Internet A to Z Starter Kit, including Netscape Navigator software, email, 14 days free internet access, big savings, the video and the guide for only $19.95 plus shipping. FedEx delivery available. Call now.
It's cool having the athletes hang out here at Sports Center. Even the old-timers show up, which can be interesting.
In the old days, we had respect for some. Yeah, Bobby Hall hit me one time right here. Hey, you're not listening. They have the advantage because they can put you in a corner here like this. You're in there digging in real tight. You do this, and you get their attention. If you don't like him again, it's up here. You understand what I'm trying to tell you? The follow-through's like this. When the puck dropped, I hit him here. It was a respectful game when we played it. See, Mommy. Mommy. Okay.
Welcome back to the Trans World Dome in St. Louis as we've got a battle for third. Brian Deegan and Nathan Ramsey. That's a battle for second behind Kevin Windham. Second and third right here. Whoa, bar to bar. Ramsey, you said he was looking faster.
Yeah, he covered that perfect. Deegan tried to park him a little bit in the corner there, and as a result, he wasn't able to get up enough momentum to jump the triple. And of the two, Ramsey just looks more aggressive to me right now, and that seems to be the difference.
Yeah, Ramsey spells trouble as far as Dobb and any hopes of taking a title in the West. Because right now, Windham has enough point differential to take the championship tonight.
I doubt if Ramsey cares what's going on with the points. He's just going, yeah, I'm in second. If anything happens to Windham, he could pick up the lead. So it's a good run for him right now.
No, Ramsey does care about his own points in the East, though. He's third, and he's had a pretty good season.
Still getting through that section clean. See the ruts in the takeoff now. Rusty Holland's down again, fiddling with the rear brake.
Holland looking to try and restart there.
There went Windham. He just jumped the triple.
Windham way out in front. Let's go down to Marty Reed.
Well, guys, we're just mentioning as Ali Seymour, Windham's mechanic, is saying, watch the lappers because he's starting to get into heavy traffic. Ali, you got to be real happy. This race was over before it really got started.
Yeah, those guys had a little accident. He got the whole shot, and he's gone now, so he's just got to ride his own race, be smooth.
As far as the championship, it looks like right now, if it stays the way it is, you guys got a lock on it, too.
Yeah, it depends on how Dobb does. I think he's fourth right now, so I think he has to finish seventh or worse.
Okay, we'll keep our eyes on it, guys.
My calculations, he only needs a 5-point differential.
Looks like he's going to get that. He's pulling away more and more. That's all he can do is just ride his best race and hope things fall behind him. Ramsey just went down actually behind. He's running second. just before the finish line jump, so that's going to change things a little bit because that moves Daub into third place now.
Kevin Windham just breezing by. And this does give him some real credibility as we take a look at the Honda stopwatch. If he can win the East-West matchups 3-1. His division has been so wrecked with injuries. You had Robbie Raynard, who's only been in one race this year. Chad Pedersen only one race. David Pingree is also out with an injury. And then you've got Craig Decker, who never got started.
Well, it's a big plus for Windham. You know, it's very important to touch on that. To make note of the fact that he did have a fairly light field. However, I don't think that would have changed the outcome much by looking at the way Windham rides. It doesn't even look like he's trying very hard. He's so natural, so smooth, and I think he's going to carry this right into the 250. From what I understand, Yamaha's already hooked him up for a couple of more years. A good move there. Don't let him get away.
Kevin Windham, the superstar of the future. But he doesn't seem that over-anxious to get right into the 250s to battle Jeremy McGrath. He wants to learn for a couple of years. Well,
you know, talking with Hannah, I mean, they wanted to pace this kid. They didn't want him to burn out before he gets out of the 125. Minute flat. Pretty quick. They were in practice, they were a little bit faster than that, but right now he has no reason to push. And you can see by his posture there that he's taking his time. He knows what kind of a lead he has. He just went through the mechanics area, and Seymour, the mechanic, probably just said, hey, you know, do what you want. You got a big lead.
Yeah. Just lapping James Eichel, number 75, Kevin Windham. What a wonderful year Kevin's had after a really hard learning year last year, his first year in the 125s. 36,717 fans here at the Trans-America Dome seeing Kevin Windham in this last East-West matchup.
And I think, you know, the season that Kevin had last year, he got all those hole shots and faded and he had some problems. Hurt his collarbone. That was probably a blessing in disguise, really, because now he has a lot more respect for what's going on out there. It's not as easy as it looks. And he knew that training would be important because he kept fading. He knew that dealing with the pressure would be important. And it seems like he came back this year really ready and willing to accept those challenges, and he's met them all.
And that case of mono didn't help either as far as energy and endurance is concerned.
Right, I had it, and I can't even believe he was even thinking of racing. I didn't even know my name. It's pretty tough, but he's gotten that out of the way now, so. John Dowd still staying ahead of Pichon. I think Pichon's probably just frustrated with the whole situation. He knows he can't win the battle between he and Windham, so he's already got the title, and I question where his incentive is right now to really push it here.
No, he's just going to try and stay up, I'll bet. As James, we're looking at Dowd right now, number 7. It's more important for Dowd to feel accomplished against Pichon in this race as the season draws to an end.
Well, we were looking forward to a showdown between Pichon and Windham, and they all went down the first corner. That was it. Pretty easy race. I can tell you that probably even for Windham, I mean, you know, it feels great to win. You see he's got a big lead right here as he cruises by the mechanics area, but probably going to be a little more empty than it would have been, let's say, if he would have had to battle and win this race in a close one over Pichon. That would have probably felt a lot better.
Here's a battle for second. We got Deegan, and Daub is right behind him. Second and third riders. Daub losing a little time through the whoops, but picking it up on the triples.
And behind these guys, Ramsey, who went down, is finding his pace. We may start to see his front fender here in a minute, because he's been chipping away little by little. It's hard to crash and then get your rhythm established again. Now these guys going back and forth. See how slow they're going, Art.
Daub moving into second place now.
Now watch, right behind him, see Ramsey just coming into the picture. Because these guys are holding each other up, Ramsey's making up a lot of time.
Well, Deegan in the last race last week at Charlotte started in second and faded to 7th. He doesn't want to do that again here, as Daub is now pulling some space on Deegan, as you see here. Daub on the Suzuki on the replay.
Well, he just jumped to the inside. Deegan knows it. He just waits. He doesn't want to get knocked down by trying to go for it and hold him off when he was already out of position. So.
And already number 19 has a 2-second lead on Deegan. And here's our front runner. Oh, he's just taking his own sweet time right now, and he can afford to. Here's third and fourth. Nathan Ramsey moving into third.
With a lap to go, I think the way Ramsey's been riding, he's got enough speed and a couple of good lines right before the finish line jump, especially coming out of that corner, to get around Dobb.
The white flag is waving. And Wyndham is long past the white flag as Ramsey now comes across the finish line. Let's check out Wyndham here. He likes to excite the crowd.
He did with that heel clicker right there. You can see he's just on a trail ride. It's one of the biggest leads I've ever seen. Look at that. He's got the whole loop section, the triple jump. Second place hasn't even come around that corner yet. Now they just are.
James Dobb looks like he will prevent, if he stays in second place, Wyndham taking the #1 plate.
Wyndham, another heel clicker. Flash is going off everywhere, putting on a show. It's a boring kind of a race, you know, when you win by that far, but Wyndham has got a lot of poise, and he understands the game. He knows how to get the crowd into it.
One more race for Wyndham to wrap up the Western crowd if he doesn't do it here tonight, and that's our final at Denver. The checkered flag for Kevin Wyndham, who has taken three out of the 4 East-West matchup races. And here's our second place finisher, James Dobb, with Nathan Ramsey making the podium. So Ramsey's second podium in the last 3 races. Marty Reed talks with our top riders when we return to the Trans World Dome here in St. Louis, as James Dobb prevents Kevin Wyndham, for one more race anyway, of clinching that 125 Western title. Let's check out with Marty.
Well, I've got good news and bad news for you. The bad news is you're going to have to go to Denver before you can clinch this thing. But the good news is, I mean, you destroyed this field. Take us through it. What was the key?
Man, I got a good start, you know, not the best. Sean got out a little bit better than me, and a couple other guys. I think Dow was up there too, and they came together on the first lap, and it was real unfortunate for those guys. You know, it would have been a good race. Everybody was up in the front at the start, and something happened. They went down, and from there on, it was kind of easy. I pulled a big lead in the first couple laps and didn't look back.
Art and David talked about the fact that everybody in the West Division has been injured this year, but in the head-to-head competition with the East, you've won 3 out of the 4. You king of the hill this year?
I sure hope so. You know, that accident, you know, didn't set me back too much, very fortunately. But yeah, I was really sweating it coming into this race. I would definitely want to make it, you know, my 3 to his 1, you know, instead of being tied. But yeah, I definitely feel good and with getting 3 out of the 4. And unfortunately, we couldn't have a good race tonight.
All right, congratulations. Let's swing over here and bring in James Dobb. I'll tell you what, for a guy who's on limited budget and didn't have a lot of practice time, next to none, what a great ride. Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm really happy with my ride. My Suzuki pulled me through, and my champion nutrition, I've been off the bike for 5 weeks, so it pulled me through. The Suzuki did a really good job, and as you can see, I came from behind and got a good position. And it doesn't let Kevin let up. He's still only, I think, 17 points in front. It's the bare minimum I could have lost to him if I was going to lose any, so I'm happy with it.
Well, James Dobb has forced this issue to go to Denver.
Okay, as we take a look at the Suzuki point standings, first of all in the 125 East, the unofficial listing, of course, Bichon already capturing that crowd, but this would be the final Eastern lineup with Dowd, Ramsey holding on to third, not letting Scott Sheik get in front of him there. Now at the 125 West, it's Wyndham 145 points to Dobbs 127, delaying that #1 plate presentation until maybe Denver. Well, it has to be at Denver because that's the last 125 Western race on our slate. But we've got the big guys coming up, the big bucks on the line. The 250 main is next. To the Trans World Dome, Art Ekman along with David Bailey, and we're ready for the main event for the 250s. Jeremy McGrath gunning for his 14th consecutive Supercross victory, but the bar-banging experience in the qualifying probably has him thinking a lot.
Well, I'm sure it does, and it wasn't until a couple of corners to go that he finally got around Lawrence and into the lead to win his heat race, and he called it a slam fest those first few laps. And I know that he has the composure and the patience to kind of wait that out, let things sort themselves out. We may be looking at another Houston with guys getting in there and banging him and then maybe going down.
And Kawasaki only with one rider in the field, Jeff Emig, as injuries have befallen Huffman as well as Hughes.
Yeah, Huffman with an anterior cruciate tear in his knee, and they're still analyzing that. If he does go in, if that's not looking good, he may get that operated on. That would put him out for most of the season. Also, Ryan Hughes, with that kind of odd crash in Charlotte last week, smacked his jaw, and when he cased it on a double and broke that. At first, they didn't know it was broken. When he came home on Tuesday, it was still hurting him, and he went and checked it out. It was pretty bad.
Let's check things out trackside now with Marty Reed.
Well, you hear us talking from time to time about the ruts and how they have an effect on the race. Well, let me give you an idea just how deep they are, because sitting at home, depth perception is awfully hard sometimes. So swing on around here. Let me show you as these guys come by. Not only are they getting rutted out and getting deep, but notice how there's a sort of a roller coaster effect. Well, it gives you a stutter bump to it, and what happens is it makes you feel like if you ate fettuccine Alfredo, you would regret it very much. But the other thing that really is the key to this thing is take a look how deep it is. This is my foot. This is how deep it can go into this rut. You can lose your dog in here, and I'm not talking about your pet Chihuahua, guys.
Yeah, we'll get it out of there. The bikes are coming by, Marty.
No dogs on the track.
Whoa! He probably deserved that after all those elevator comments. Here's the Suzuki starting grid with Jeremy McGrath, Emig, Doug Henry also with some fine performances in the qualifying rounds. Michael Craig, he's beaten Jeremy before. Brian Swink, Denny Stevenson, Cliff Palmer, Damon Bradshaw. And we get down to the guys who did not have a good pick at the gate. And one of them, of course, is Team Suzuki's Greg Albertine, who had to go to the last chance qualifier.
You can miss those big bumps in the hoops.
Skip Norfolk is mic'd.
Tell him to look out for those big bumps for the whoop-de-doo section. There's a few big ones in there, and if you can hop over those, you can keep that bike pretty flat. Jeremy going through his usual routine. He kind of claps.
Hey, you got Honda Troy beside you. You got Team Yamaha down from them. And you know who's sitting on your right. Okay, you know where you got to be when the gate drops. Forget about the heat race. You need a whole shot, 4 laps of your race, and then you'll be out front. You can do whatever you want then. All right? Hammer on these guys. 20 laps this time.
Well, that's great.
Hey, I love listening in. It's such good advice. And even if Jeremy already knows that, it's still good to hear it again. Just get that anchored in there. Trying to keep his arms loose. He said he got a little nervous.
And you got your spot. Nobody's expecting anything to happen in that corner. You can make it happen there if it's necessary.
So you know that they've planned a spot on the track that he hasn't shown yet.
Well, we could assume that it's that corner where he passed Lawrence. That's a key corner. I think we're going to see a lot of passing there. You see the intensity on Jeremy's face. Skip's got good advice.
He was talking about Jeff Emig, of course, to his right. McGrath, Henry, Lawrence, Swink, Craig, Lusk, Ward, LaRocco, Bradshaw. They're all there getting set for the second to the last Supercross of the year. Can Jeremy McGrath win them all? This might be the big one. 30-second board is up. When it goes sideways, they have from 5 to 10 seconds before the gate will drop to get this one underway.
I've been pretty impressed with Emig. I've said that already. Larry Ward and Ezra Lusk also riding extremely fast tonight, but I agree with Skip. If Jeremy can get out to a good start, put in 4 good laps, he may end up with a big lead like we've seen all year long. At that point, he can ride more relaxed, make less mistakes.
Well, if he doesn't get out in front, of course, there's going to be the bar banging, because that's the only way you can get around these corners. And there's plenty of riders out there that are willing to do it. So we're set. They're revving up. The gate will drop any second. Now it's gone.
Jeremy gets a terrible jump out of the gate.
Emig, good jump. Lusk, a good jump. McGrath is about in 10th position right now, but then he shoots by 4 riders right before the next turn. Emig is our leader. LaRocco got a good start. There's Phil Lawrence, 13. Number 34 is Ezra Lusk. Then it's LaRocco. Then Jeremy McGrath is already in 5th position.
And look how smart Jeremy is. Up the inside to the whoops, already around LaRocco. He's in, what, 4th, maybe 5th? I can't believe what this guy can do amongst so much traffic.
Now it'll spread out a little bit. He's got Ezra Lusk right in front of him.
Look what he did right there. Instead of just clearing that double jump, he jumped completely past it, trying to maintain more momentum. Little mistake right there. He was lucky not to get tangled with Lusk, but he's got some fast guys ahead of him. LaRocco won his semi. He's already around.
Sharp elbow that time on Lusk.
Yeah, he gave it to Lusk. Lusk kept it up on 2 wheels.
It's Emig out in front with Phil Lawrence out in front. Lawrence, don't forget, led Jeremy McGrath through the entire qualifying heat except for the last lap, the last turn. Emig, Lawrence, LaRocco, and then Jeremy McGrath, Ezra Lusk, Michael Craig, and Jimmy Button. Here is the Suzuki field summary.
McGrath's going to have to fight for this. LaRocco is not going to be easy to pass, I don't have a feeling. We already saw how much trouble Jeremy had in the heat race, trying to find a way around Lawrence, trying to find his rhythm. Said he didn't get to take the lines he wanted to take. That could happen again, and meanwhile, Emig is still out front.
Jeremy McGrath has been in this position before at different tracks with 3 riders in front of him. But he's always been able to get the break, the right move at the right time. LaRocco just won't let him take it.
Now LaRocco stayed tight right there, and although McGrath kind of blew it all through that section, he's still right there. The guy is just endless pressure and eventually wears on you.
Now the big question is, can Emig draw a big enough lead with Lawrence in between?
Oh, I think so, but I don't know if any lead's big enough with Jeremy McGrath on the same race, but
Oh, we've got a great one on our hands. Could this be the moment that Jeremy McGrath's tremendous win string of 13 in a row is broken?
Look at Lusk down the inside of the whoop section. He was pretty quick through there. He's trying to stay out of those ruts, and it's on the inside. So if he can stay close enough to Jeremy, which he has been doing, on the next lap, he could make a pass on one of these 2 guys there.
57.5 for Emig on the lap.
It's pretty quick. It was a minute for the 125 class, so they've picked it up some. He was running 57 lap times all through the heat race. Now Albertine is out of the race, still on the track, but out of contention.
5-second lead as far as Emig and McGrath are concerned. But they've got LaRocco and Lawrence in between them.
Oh, Emig's been there before. He's had the lead. And a few guys between himself and Jeremy, like the situation we see right now, but he's always made a mistake, and I think this time may be different.
Jeremy McGrath can't get the block pass on LaRocco. LaRocco with good acceleration out of that corner.
And he's forcing Jeremy to push himself a little bit harder in certain places on the racetrack, taking him out of his rhythm, and he's starting to make little mistakes that let Lusk almost get by him through the whoops right there. So Jeremy's got to settle down. He's got a long ways to go.
He's still 4 seconds behind the leader.
There's so much pressure on this kid to try to win every single race, and I think now there's only 2 more, and with the absence of Hughes and Huffman, he knows it should be just a little bit easier, and he may be thinking about that a little bit too much right now. I know once he settles down, he can go faster than anyone else.
Brian Swink hitting the dirt right there.
Looks
McGrath honestly thinking that the streak was going to come to an end back in the wind and rain of Charlotte. But then he came back with great poise and had very few problems. But he got the great start.
Right. Emig still, Art, is maintaining this about the same lap time, 57.5 seconds again. And McGrath still not any closer to LaRocco, and Lusk is still within striking distance.
Emig has pulled a second on McGrath as far as the lead back to Foyt.
Now, meanwhile, we've been talking about all these guys. One guy that I'm really impressed with is Phil Lawrence, because he has closed in the battle just ahead of these guys on Emig. He's putting pressure on Emig for the lead of this race.
Lawrence, of course, the top privateer in the last National Outdoors. Getting some extra money for that. It's not easy being a privateer in this business.
No, it's definitely not. I mean, he's got a good team behind him, but I've talked to him. I flew home with him after one of the rounds. I forget now. I think Pontiac. And he talked about the fact that his bike was pretty much stock. And he goes out riding with Emig, and I mean, not Emig, but McGrath and Hughes. Sometimes I go, hey, did you ever ride one of those guys' bikes out practicing? He said, I didn't want to. He didn't want to know how much better their bikes were because he'd have to go back and ride his.
Well, gentlemen, we haven't seen much of this race yet. There is a lot more to come as Jeff Emig on top, Lawrence, LaRocco, McGrath, and Lusk. And we'll be back with the finish, the conclusion of the 250 main event after this. Our leader in the 250 main event from St. Louis. It is Jeff Emig, number 2, but Phil Lawrence of Great Western, an independent team, is really putting the heat on. Then it's LaRocco and Jeremy McGrath with Ezra Lusk behind him.
I'm so impressed with Lawrence right now because I can guarantee you that the bike Emig is riding is much more superior. But Lawrence is putting the pressure on as they came off the finish line jump right when we came back from commercial. He actually kind of had the pass made, and Emig squirted off that outside, gave him a face full of dirt. But he is close enough to make Emig think about where he's going to go on the racetrack, not to give up that best line.
Jeremy McGrath is losing time on LaRocco. As we see our leader, Jeff Emig. Emig, of course, winning the last Supercross of the season last year. That was the field shortened, and Lawrence goes into the hay bale.
You could just see a glimpse of him as they went by. He went off the track and hit a hay bale. He's in kind of an odd spot. It's going to take him a little while to get going, so that makes it a little easier for Jeremy now.
So it is Emig, LaRocco, and Jeremy McGrath. As I was saying, Emig's only Supercross win came in the field shortened display the last race of the year in Las Vegas last year, where several riders did not ride in the main event.
Now watch Lawrence right here. He's in second place. He's going to come out. He's going to go more to the right. He gets crossed up in that rut. Right there, that hay bale is what caused the problem. Falls off the bike, and it took him forever to get going. Right now, he's in seventh.
Emig slowing down as far as lap time is concerned, and LaRocco and Jeremy McGrath are picking up time.
We got a good race brewing right here. These three guys are going to get close.
And LaRocco, you know, is not going to give McGrath an inch.
No, he won't. He'll do everything he can. He wants to finish off the season, at least indoors, good, and take some of that strength outdoors, where he's still got a shot at the title.
Number 8, Mike LaRocco. His bike tuned by his father, Mike Sr.
As they went into that first corner, you can see Jeff Stanton off to the side of the racetrack lean down and clap for Jeremy. He's got a lot of support out there on the racetrack.
LaRocco, despite the fact that he came from reconstructive knee surgery into the season, took a 5th in the first race in Orlando, then a 3rd and a 4th. It was looking pretty rosy until the 19th in Seattle.
Well, this is for the first time this year that I can think of, Art. LaRocco has a good look at the lead in the main event pretty far into the race.
And he's had good starts both in qualifying and the main event. LaRocco now starting to move inch up on Jeff Emig. This is the closest thing to the home track for Jeff Emig. Many friends and family coming up from Kansas City. He wants to hold on to that lead.
So now these guys are using pretty much the same line. You can see Emig's mechanic, Jeremy, looking on. McGrath is able to start using different lines. He's got nothing to lose, really. He can just watch what these guys do and play off of them. You can't wait too long, though. There's not that many laps left.
We're almost to the halfway point. 11 laps left. Emig, LaRocco to the inside of the whoops. LaRocco moving on those whoops. Oh, and LaRocco comes down hard.
Well, he had to go for that, or else he would have lost a lot of time. It takes so much strength, I can't even tell you, to pull the front end up that high and land on the top of that jump, not lose any time.
58.3 the last lap.
Yeah, they're starting to slow down just a little bit. They've been running 57s, now they're into 58s, and I think that's just the condition of the racetrack.
Out in front, Jeff Emig, Mike LaRocco, and Jeremy McGrath, 1, 2, and 3. It's Michael Craig in 4th. Here's the halfway point.
Yeah, now look at McGrath. He's going wide, trying to stay out of that big rut that Marty was pointing out before the race started. You can see how deep these are getting now. I have a feeling that it's going to be a mistake.
Here comes LaRocco making the move. Can't quite get Emig with a black pass. Here's the triple. Jeremy McGrath sitting back, watching him fight it out.
Well, he's being patient right here. Time is going to run out if he can't stay close. He's got to stay really close to these guys, or else they're not going to feel that presence anymore.
Oh, LaRocco can sense his first victory of the 96 season.
Now, this section coming up, LaRocco's been using the inside. I don't think he's close enough to Emig, though, to make a move. Jeremy's right there.
A 1-2-3 battle in our 250 main. With a streak, one of the greatest in sports history, on the line.
Watch Jeremy. He'll go to the outside and get a burst of speed coming off the corner.
And he cuts in front of LaRocco. Jeremy McGrath brings the crowd to their feet. Holy mackerel. We're in St. Louis, aren't we? I can say that. Harry Carey.
Look at LaRocco. He's got an excellent line coming off of that section. He gets Jeremy back briefly.
Bar to bar. McGrath takes the advantage in the triple. LaRocco, he gets the black pass. Oh, what great infighting.
That's what it's going to take. The guy that wants it the most right now is the guy that's going to win this race. They're all the same speed. They're all capable of the same things. The guy that wants it right now, I don't care how tired you are. You know that they're all feeling that they're getting winded a little bit. The track's getting tough. They're making mistakes, but you got to want it like that. Right there, it could have been over for LaRocco, but he went back in. Watch this. Cuts right back to the inside and goes right for Jeremy's front wheel. He's probably bummed they didn't take him out, to tell you the truth, Art. But Jeremy did a good job to keep it upright. I can tell you he's a little irritated with that. He's not going to let these guys boss him around much more.
Fender to fender. Here comes Jeremy again.
This is the last lap where LaRocco, watch what he does right here. He jumps all the way off.
Good move.
Over that little kicker on the end of that jump into the corner, makes up a lot of time.
8 laps remaining in this 250 main. Oh, look at the move. LaRocco and Emig going at it now. Coming through the whoops. Great move by LaRocco to the inside. And then the double jump by Emig to retake the lead.
Well, the design of this track, everyone thought was pretty simple early in the day, but it's really proved to be some of the best racing all year because of the options out there and the fact that it's getting so rutted. These guys make mistakes.
Mike Craig is pulling up some space on the 3 leaders.
Yeah, he's made up quite a bit of time.
Behind him, just to inform the Ezra Lusk fans, and then Larry Ward behind Ezra. But we're looking at the true battle of the year right now.
Jeremy still using that outside. He gets right up next to LaRocco, but he can't make anything happen. LaRocco controls the corner.
Boy, you got to pick the right rut. Woo.
Look at LaRocco. He scoots off over that. I really like how he's doing that. He wheelies over the beginning bump as they start up that little whoop-de-doo section and hops over that little lip. That's what set up the pass for him before on Jeremy to get him back. If he gets close enough, he can get Emig there.
You know, Jeremy's being patient right now after putting the wheel up there and testing LaRocco. But time's running thin.
Well, this is about the longest in a race, other than maybe Seattle, all year that Jeremy hasn't been in the lead yet.
That's where he was challenged by Damon Huffman. And Damon Huffman was giving him a great battle until Huffman stalled on a corner. Emig, LaRocco, 2 and number 8, battling it out now as they come over the finish line jump.
LaRocco right there. Emig looks over. He knows it. Jeremy using that outside still, but he's not nearly close enough like he was the past few laps to get in there and make a move. Now watch LaRocco through this section. He'll wheelie the front wheel and hop over there.
But Emig has the angle. No contact, just a good block pass. And Jeremy McGrath is pulling up close once again.
Right, well, Emig is making it difficult for LaRocco to get around. LaRocco, though, up the inside again.
Now Emig, LaRocco bumps and comes off the bike. Jeremy McGrath leaps by him.
What a save by LaRocco, but now Jeremy's around him.
And that's Michael Craig in 4th place, number 17.
Wait till Emig glances over his shoulder and doesn't see that number 8 anymore. That's going to make him nervous.
That is going to be the key right here. Can Emig, with Jeremy McGrath behind him, hold on to the lead? He has lost the lead 3 times this year.
I'm sure he can hear the crowd. Whenever you're in the lead and something's going on behind you and the crowd gets into it like that, now you get a little tight.
Boy, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 right here. Jeff Emig, Jeremy McGrath, Mike LaRocco, and Michael Craig.
Here's the replay. LaRocco just tries to get in there, and Emig still won't leave him any room. LaRocco kind of does a trick ride hanging off the side of the bike. Good job to save it. He's still in the hunt. He could still win this.
And we're down to a 1-minute lap time with this infighting.
Well, the pace is slowed considerably because there's so much strategy and blocking, and because of the ruts, these guys are making more mistakes. They're not getting cleanly over all the jumps consistently, but I don't think the lap times really matter right now. It's just positioning.
Breezing by the lappers, Cliff Palmer, Jeremy McGrath right on the tail of Jeff Emig.
Now look at this, McGrath all the way on the inside.
They pass up Todd DeHoop. We're going to have a great battle here as Jeremy McGrath almost took off himself. And Mike LaRocco picking up on McGrath.
It's the most mistakes I've ever seen McGrath make, but you know what? If he wins the race, who cares? You know, it's a difficult track, and you can see how deep these ruts are getting. You can't expect to not make any mistakes. Watch McGrath right here. He gets cross-rutted a little bit. Nice body English to keep that on the track. That's where Lawrence went off right there and hit that hay bale. So a little bit better balance perhaps by Jeremy.
Jeremy's been able to pick up some time here with the whoops. Let's see if he can get close to Emig once again as LaRocco's right behind him.
And now Jeremy has learned. You see him riding the inside down through that whoop section because he knows LaRocco's on his tail. He doesn't want LaRocco to get around. He also feels like if he's close enough, he can get around Emig the same as LaRocco was trying to do.
Oh, this is the battle we've been calling for all year. Emig out in front with Jeremy McGrath in second, and LaRocco cased one, but he's still up in 3rd. There's the top 5 on our Suzuki Field summary.
Emig has just been like a machine so far. He hasn't missed any of his lines. He's had the same lines. His lap times have slowed just a little bit, but so have everyone else's.
5 laps to go. Jeremy looks like he wants to make a move.
Every time Jeremy gets really close, Emig does something good, hits a good line, gets a good burst of power, and pulls it open again.
LaRocco's now 2 seconds behind McGrath in third with Michael Craig in fourth. Here's our Honda stopwatch. Let's check the interval. 1.8.
Pretty close between the top 5 guys. 5 seconds back to Mike Craig, who's ridden a fantastic race catching these riders from further back. He has a shot at the podium if he can get around LaRocco. But McGrath, I noticed, Art, was pulling a tearaway on that triple jump the last lap. I got to wonder how many of those he's got left, because he's been eating a lot of roost this whole race.
This late in the race, he's never been out of the lead.
Well, this is history right here.
As far as the year is concerned, Jeremy McGrath battling. You see the space, the interval right there as they approach another lapper, which is Doug Henry. Doug Henry clears out of the way as Emig will go wide.
Now Jeremy sort of picked up on that line that LaRocco was doing, getting over that little whoop-de-doo step-up section.
Former teammates battling it out now. McGrath going by Doug Henry.
McGrath had a good run through the whoops that time and closed it in a little bit. They still got more lapped riders to contend with. That could be the story right there. Rich Taylor looks like he's going to stay out of the way.
Wise move by Taylor to let these guys battle it out. But Henry now is in front of LaRocco.
Look how close Jeremy is, and Emig moves right over to the inside.
Could this be the evening that Emig holds on to it all?
The ruts are starting to take their toll on Jeff
White
Emig.
flag lap. 1 lap to go. Can Emig do it?
He's got a good, comfortable lead right now. Unless Jeremy can stay closer than this, Emig's got the composure to hold on to it.
Emig's 1 win in Supercross history was Las Vegas. McGrath was not in the field.
Jeremy just had lost a little bit of time, but he jumped that section that LaRocco was doing, made it back up. Watch him through the whoops up the inside.
Emig doing a good job through the whoops.
I think the key might be that final corner where Jeremy got around Lawrence for the heat race.
I'll tell you, the fans are all out of their seats with good reason. Emig leading Jeremy McGrath in the final lap. Here's the second to the last turn. Emig, flawless. McGrath is not close enough to make a move on the final turn. It is Jeff Emig.
I don't believe it, Art. I don't think Emig does either. He jumped about 10 feet past the landing of that finish line jump, hands in the air.
His first legitimate Supercross win, I think, in his heart, because Jeremy McGrath was not in the field in Las Vegas. And where do you do it? You do it on what is the closest thing to your home track, with over 300 fans up from Kansas City to see this. We'll be back. Jeff Emig, number 2 in front of Jeremy McGrath. The streak is broken. 13 consecutive Supercross victories for Jeremy McGrath, a record that should stand for some time, David Bailey, as Jeff Emig across the finish line. Our round 14, here's how they finished. Emig, McGrath, Mike LaRocco, Craig, and Lawrence. Let's go down to Marty.
For the first time in 14 races this season, we're going to talk to somebody else first. Jeff Emig, congratulations. The streak is broken. What a great ride.
Well, I knew that there was going to be a lot of guys going fast tonight. I didn't feel that I was, exactly the fastest. Especially when you're out front, you kind of get a little, like a little soggy, I think. But, LaRocco and Jeremy, they gave me a good race. And I'm sure that it was exciting for the fans here in St. Louis.
That 56-second lap in the heat race was an indicator, though. I mean, you got a great start. And, yes, the time slowed down as the race progressed because of the ruts, but you were able to stay consistent.
Yeah, that was the whole name of the game. We talked about it. And we...
Mark Eckman along with David Bailey. Our motocross series picking up at one of the great traditions of